My name is Jannek. I'm the managing director of the German smaller subsidiary of Pixelate, and I'm working with CFML for quite some time, probably 20 plus years. And for first Preside touch was around almost 10 years ago, maybe anniversary this or next year. Yeah, so let's dive in today's agenda. Really small intro on like why you should use extensions, what's the benefit of using extensions, and so on. And then we go through a couple of smaller or larger extensions, some of them developed by Pixelate, some of them developed by the community. Just to give you, like, we found these in particular interesting. Some have already been covered, and I will skip through and go to the more, I don't know, the ones we haven't covered yet. Extension intro, obviously, like, why should you use extensions? Enhance, extend functionality of the core platform. The nice way of, I mean, that would be a talk on its own, is how like extensions and different code blends together in specific things. That's really a powerful concept. And of course, advantages, modularity, shareability with the community, getting community support, that's really important. And yeah, you like write your extension once, use it in various applications. So a couple of advantages. Let's dive in with a really quick one. That's from Sasha, I think, pawn passwords. Not sure if everyone knows about that, like, have I been pawned site where it stores, like, has a large database of like hash passwords from various data leaks. So you might want to and that so that you can see if a password was exposed in a data breach. So basically what Sasha did here is integrating it, and you can use it both in the front end and back end. And like as a simple demo, you could say, if I change my password in the back end and saying, picking something that's obviously exposed, that will check against the API whether that was like anywhere in a data breach. So probably don't use that and use something more complex. So and that's kind of, it builds upon the security policy mechanisms for that come with Preside Core, but like just enable it, and it's in. So nothing to code here. Really nice little addition to make the system more secure. Admin launcher, I will basically skip this. It's exactly what Zep did, and also, yeah, also for the purpose of this presentation, again, I use the Stowers extension because it's like just to have some sample data at hand. So it's basically exactly the same. Chart.js was also briefly covered here with some, like, to show you how easy it is to implement. For instance, here at that part, you could like in Cascade, what is it, concatenate, chain the methods to configure it, like having a bar chart, setting labels and adding one or more data sets. Or you can, in the second example, you can have this whole thing based on a query where you just define what's the labels, what's the data sets, and then render it. That's like the really easy to make use of charts. And if we have a look at how that would look like, sample charts in the front end. So like you could do some grouping also based on Star Wars data, donut or pie chart. I mean, donut and pie are like quite the same, only the one has the hole in the middle. Then like whatever I came up with, top 10 average residence heights by planets. How many this is an example for us for a stacked series based on films. And obviously I found out I had never had an actual look at the actual data that you import. It's like not at all complete. So we only have 2 different species in Revenge of the Sith. So like a lot of data missing. Or you could I wanted a scatter chart which exists in chart.js and found out, oh yeah, that chart type is not supported in but like open for pull requests to support more of what's available in chart.js.
I did that on a project of ours, so I can take it up.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's and there's like, this is only like most basic examples. There's a lot more you could do easily, create those charts. Next one, also a small one, IP geolocation APIs. It's this is quite interesting. It uses both like common headers from, for instance, Cloudflare and so on, but also accesses the IPUIS API to get geolocation data from like a visitor. And you can use it in 2 different ways, which are kind of neat. First of all, for programmers, you can actually get from a service the actual data and work with it in code. But you could also use it in expressions in rules engine expressions to basically show specific content based on geolocation. Quick demo on that. First of all, basically, this is using like a conditional content widget where it says, hey, you are from Germany, from Germany. So having a look at here, conditional content widget used, where you basically get this new set of, where is it, visitor location here, where you get these new and like this section, these expressions are part of the extension, and you can basically do whatever, like having specific pages restrict down, or using it like here in the conditional content widget.
Provided by business, what's that?
So you're on cloud, like when you're on Cloudflare walk, it will tell you, yeah, so it's who owns the IP range, basically.
Right.
And so the other one I did here is like just, it's a custom page type just to demo it, where it basically checks the but it's just a dump of what exists in that service, which you could use. You could do whatever you want with the data in code if you actually want to code against it. Yeah.
Question: is this a live data?
Yes, I mean, I reloaded right before the conference. Huh? It's not enabled. I disabled full page caching. So yeah. Yeah, we saw that, and for the demo purpose, we set it to like 1 second timeout so that it actually. I mean, like the zero trust does anything. Okay, let's see. Now everything is broken. Let me see.
Go on the Pixel 8.
IP demo location visitor info. Okay, let's see. No, I don't know.
Yeah, I have a question. You know, on the rules expression, on where you've got the country.
Yes.
Are those drop downs, or are they plain text?
No, it's plain text. So it's let me see. Nope. No, it is like the country is selectable, but obviously it's let's see, continent. Oh yeah, it's selectable. Okay. Yeah. And region is also just a text field. Yeah. Okay. Where am I here? So that and it does two things. It tries there are some headers from, for instance, Cloudflare. First of all, it tries to analyze these.
Did we? I can't remember if I did, because I worked on this recently to add this stuff to do the headers. You basically want to avoid doing live API calls.
Yes.
Where possible. And I think Cloudflare, for instance, if you enable those location headers, like there will be request headers with, that you can read, but it doesn't do all of them. So it doesn't do city, for example. So, but actually, until you query the city, it's not going to. It will basically try to not do live lookups. But I think you can specify in the UI for the config for this. I think you can specify headers that it will pick up.
Yes, let me see. Let's.
So if you use the launcher to search for IP.
You mean this one here?
There we go. So basically, you can go, okay, look this up in this header that you might have. So maybe you're not using Cloudflare, or maybe you're using Cloudflare with some custom IP location with that layer.
Yeah.
So because you can avoid that. So when IP always goes down, you've got a conditional content in the city on your home page. And it will cache it as well. But...
Cool. Next up, content library. Probably a lot of you guys have already used it. It's really like it's a small thing, but it's really powerful because like you have content you might want to use in different places managed in a single place. So it's kind of reusable. No one from the SSO what is called SES department. What is it? SEO. Yeah, the SEO department here reusing content. But I think the interesting part here is the conditional alternatives, which you in theory could also do with conditional content widgets, but not. But it gets more complex if you have a lot of alternatives. So quickly demoing this would be content library samples. So we have our content library up here. By the way, I needed to, based on the new admin theme, I needed to now customize that we see the content library up there, but that should change pretty soon, so that like the content library probably supports the new admin layout, or we'll see. So yeah, content library is basically something, for instance, I put in a sample saying like a daily message which says that's the content, and like content is like a rich editor, so you could put in whatever you want. Again, you could also do like content library content within content library content or whatever. Like you can use all the widgets here. But the interesting part is then that you can do alternatives, basically saying, I have a conditional widget, a conditional alternative saying like, if it's Monday, then display, hey, today it's Monday. And if we bake this in, or like the other part was like, for instance, browser-based instructions and saying like, if it's Chrome, then display this. If it's Firefox, then display that. If it's Safari, display that. And if you embed it, that's quite simple, saying there's a new widget here, which just says, give me that content item, and that's it. And it will then automatically, if we have a look at the front end for this, it will say, hey, it's Wednesday, and hey, maybe it's even PresideCon, and I'm using a Safari browser. And now if I would pick let's go Chrome. Chrome. Then it would say you're using Chrome browser. So you might like, I don't know, how can I reset my cache? Things like this, easily have this in one place. That's content library. Where's my...
Worth noting, there's some discussions internally. People obviously try to use it for email. The issue with that is that we have a different widget context. The rich editor, when you're doing emails, so you get different widgets that focus for emails. So we are going to build on top of that so that you can have separate web content library and email content library, so that
awesome.
When you add those email content ones, it'll be a rich editor behind the email content.
And we were talking to a client the other day, that a potential client, that they will get a client, was where they would they wanted the ability to use it not only for the content of the email, but actually the layout as well.
Oh yeah.
So they wanted to be able to say, I'm sending out an email, and if the person receiving the email is in this region, then they're going to get this branded layout. If they're in this region, they're going to get it this branded layout, so that they could effectively. So what they do at the moment is they have something like 20 chapters, and they have to manually sit and build 20 different emails, and the actual content is only marginally different. So that what this means is
going content library, but yeah,
same concept,
but the same in regards to different widgets applies also to conditional content widget, right? The conditional, the Preside core conditional content widget doesn't work in emails, right? Because it's considered it's a web request, and there's an okay
with restricted
and the context of your condition.
Yeah, okay. Then this is pretty new, and it's like a nice addition. Maysoft, that's company Min works. Min was here in PresideCon. They're based in Vietnam, and he created this quick filter extension, which is that's it basically. Like in the most simple form, you only use quick filter on your object. But and then by default, if you don't specify the fields, it will pick certain fields. I think the like many to ones, the dates, and something, and will create. Let's have a quick look on it. How that looks like. It is in data characters, like. You will have that drop down and basically then saying like who comes from Tatooine, and that's it. The only thing I noticed that it's like either or, you don't get advanced filters anymore. You could like decide whether you want one or the other. Probably it makes sense to also be able to use it in combination. I reached out to Min what he thinks of it.
The challenge with that search field area, how much it can support one UI.
Yeah.
You need to build something there.
And then there's one thing that
just asking questions.
Yes, yeah. If in extensions, just like if you're working with extension or building your extensions yourself, there are places, for instance, here, it uses some really like, it should work generically in all the data managers, in all the data manager objects. So, and I'm not sure what like the best way is, but this extension, for instance, extends the data manager service, which is maybe problematic if there are changes in core, or if there is another extension, or like your app again extending it. So on these rare occasions, you need to be aware of that it could lead you into trouble upgrading or using, or but anyway, like this is a feature like a lot of clients on sample data on simple data have asked for, which is, well, like I don't want to search, I don't want to use that advanced filter, I just want what I have in like thousands of other applications, a simple drop down filter.
See, just one, or can you have multiple?
You can have multiple.
Yeah.
So but on character, the only one which made sense was Homeworld, So yeah, it's a comma separated list. Okay, yeah, and then like this is the newer one. So yeah, we released that content dependency tracker extension, which basically is admin only thing. It's like it's an interface where basically you can track everything you have in content, like and it's like separate records, content type. I'll demo it in a bit, and it will automatically scan all your like database Preside objects, whatever you have defined in it. And it's quite neat because you can find like these orphaned records, specifically broken dependencies, which can easily occur in the system. It can not only do that on like database foreign key level, but also on soft references. If you like in a rich editor use an asset or a link, or like in an rich editor use a widget which uses a Preside object, for instance, like content library content is used in a widget in a rich editor in some page. So and out of the box, it's configured for the core Preside objects, but you can easily adapt it to all your own objects. So having a quick demo on that, where we are. Entry point is we have here the dependency tracker, and that basically says now we have 360 content records in there. For instance, and we can like filter on, for instance, like I customized it to have the characters in here as well. But the more interesting parts would be, for instance, on page objects, where you could see I have I had a sample, for instance, dependency tracker sample page. It uses so it's bidirectional. So it basically says like this page exists in the side tree, and it uses a couple of other objects. For instance, it uses the home page. In the main content, there might be some link in it. It says like here, the main content. It uses a specific image, and you can see whether that is like a foreign key, which comes from like actual a hard reference, like a foreign key between two records in a database, or it's a soft reference where it's like somewhere in rich editor code. So for instance, you could see like rules engine condition filter Wednesday is used in the main content. And on the other way, you could see like, where is this used? For instance, I mean, if you know, you all know Preside is like all the custom page types are like, there's a page core object, which is linked to like the page type object. So in that case, it's like, it uses that page record. Yeah, not sure if that really makes sense. If you, yeah. And you can basically navigate back and forth to say like, go to the asset that is used. And then you can basically see, oh, this is used where, oh, that asset is used in that single page here. This is how you could completely navigate all the content records. Then the next interesting thing is that you can, from that's obviously, it's stored in the database, it's a separate thing, but it knows, and you can configure on your custom objects how you get to the actual record. Here's customization up there saying view the actual record. So if I go there, it jumps in the side tree directly in that page where I am, and you can see, oh yeah, main image is used here. There's an image in here. We have conditional content with a broken link. I did that on purpose so we can like have a look how we find broken dependencies. And for instance, if you actually look at that page, it looks completely fine. I mean, there's like conditional content on a broken rules engine condition in there, right? Someone created a rules engine condition, used it in a conditional content widget, and then that rule sensing condition was deleted. I mean, that's perfectly doable. The same for if it's like specifically if it's soft references, it's used in any field. Same for assets, same for link objects, and so on. You don't know typically if you have like inconsistencies, broken stuff, and then here the page renders fine. I mean, in other cases you might have errors, but here it renders fine, but it simply doesn't do what it's intended to do, showing the conditional content. Then we had that nice little customization up here, where it basically within the actual your actual application, you have a link from the record into the dependency tracker, where it basically says this page I can see in the badge, it uses 6 other records and is used by 1 other record. So if you click here, you get back to the dependency tracker, so you can both like navigate back and forth within the dependency tracker from which object uses which other object, and but you could also like get back into the actual system. So if you have we don't have system settings, but it also works on system settings. If you, for instance, have like defined in a system setting default page after login or something, then it will pick this up and show this that there's a system setting which relies on a specific page being there. And you could do some interesting things around orphans and one sec. Oh, no, these are our orphans. Originally my idea was to just do like the whole presentation within the CMS, but that was like a bad idea. And so these are all orphan pages. So I had them yesterday or the day before, and they were all deleted. So they are marked as orphaned, don't exist anymore. And so the interesting part is here that you could create yourself a filter, basically saying, is there an object that has a dependency, it uses something that doesn't exist anymore? So like broken dependencies.
The other thing you can do is use the export data function with a filter to say, if there's any pages of this type, send me an email.
Yeah. Yes.
Anything broken, because the export data, sure, it works. Yeah.
What is wrong here?
Question on this. What I've seen is that there is a schedule for scanning the website. For all the objects in the database.
Yep.
How long would this take?
There's no, I mean, it obviously depends on how many objects you have in the database. There are 2 concepts here. You have like a full scanning, basically saying it's a task manager task, and it like scan every content, like scan everything, scan like all the content objects that are marked to be tracked and their dependencies. But you could also have like that change content tracking, and if you enable that, then it basically means you might like do one-time scanning of everything, but from then on you want only changed objects to be scanned, and then you could do like as I configured it here, like do every 5 minutes the changes that happened the last 5 minutes.
The reason I ask is you brought up the example with the deleted content library item. Would it be possible when I delete the record to show an information, say, hey, before you delete the record, be aware that is used somewhere?
I mean, Preside core does that for like foreign key, for an action for foreign keys.
Yeah, I think we can work on that. Yeah. Do sort of make sure that other systems can hook into that point.
Because we know customers.
Well, I mean,
they're just deleted records and without any notification that there is this thing is maybe used somewhere.
Yeah.
They're doing exactly that.
It's natural selection.
No,
Mhm.
I mean, I think
There you
one
go.
of the things like rules engine conditions, it's really hard because people end up just creating loads of them.
Yeah.
And then like, oh, it's this, probably
Yeah. So okay, so like easily identifying the like sample page where it basically says, oh, this is a problem, like, right, because the this page uses something that doesn't exist anymore, so that might be problematic. Obviously, what it can't do is finding orphans, finding those broken dependencies in an existing system. Right. I mean, it needs to, you need to like start with it, and from then on it tracks the changes. So it won't go ahead and find on the first scan some broken dependencies. So yeah.
What we have really often is that the customer is deleting some assets, and then asks, hey, why is the asset missing on the page?
Yes.
That would be a perfect example. Yeah.
And does that mean that we can finally allow people to delete links?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, I mean, links is a typical thing. You might have like a link in your whatever site object header definition, and that's not hard coded. And yes, could be. Just to quickly show you in regards to what that means in code. There are two options how you can define your own objects to be tracked. I'll check the content dependency tracker object for a sample, saying, for instance, you just say like dependency tracker enable true. So on the Preside object. The other option you could do, and there are a couple of like more sophisticated customization possibilities, because we need for the option to link from the content dependency tracker into the actual system, so that it where are we so that it works, that I can, for instance, say, show me email. So all system emails are categorized. So and if I go in here and say like view record, it somehow needs to know how I come here. It works for data manager objects and a lot of core Preside things out of the box. But if you have like if you have completely built a custom UI for your Preside objects, then you might tell it how can I get into it, and the other way round, on which page should I display for a specific object this link into the tracker. So these are customizations you could easily do on the
Is there a dependency on this then for the new version of Preside?
No. There was a dependency that was like the dependency tracker was released a couple of weeks ago, and there was the it uses better view record screen, or like it uses the enhanced record views, and therefore it has a dependency on 10.24.0. It should work without the alternative admin theme, but yeah, it works like this as well. Yeah, we did basically two variants, so that it shows up that link in the main nav. There. Yes, go for 10.24. And
CA unless you had some more. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Carry on.
Yes. So the other option here is that you basically, can we actually that you basically have some custom options to say, like auto track related objects. You might say, I want to track a specific object, but I forgot like other objects that might be like used by that object. So that would automatically, so for instance, if I would say, I wouldn't enable Film Planet Species Starship Vehicle or whatever, but these are referenced in Star Wars character, then they would automatically be tracked. If I would say only track characters and enable auto tracking, then it will pick up the rest anyway. So that the auto track related objects is to kind of make sure that you don't like accidentally forget to track specific things. You say, oh, this hasn't dependencies, but in fact it would have. These are just not tracked. And to avoid this, you can just enable that it auto tracks everything else. Yeah. And that's and basically you have really two options to define on the object level specific things. Either it's done in config CFC or it's done on Preside object annotations. The advantage of doing it in config CFC is that, for instance, you pull in your application various other extensions, then you do not necessarily want to create all the Preside objects in your own application just to add that annotation. So you could easily do it in config CFC. And also, if, for instance, a specific object is feature enabled and might not exist because you have disabled the feature, then it will just skip the configuration. You can configure objects in config CFC that don't really exist in like your instance that's running. That's all documented. And let me quickly, I can Preside, find it on Forgebox, Preside, hello, Preside, next, content dependency tracker, there you go. So it has some documentation also with like the various configuration options. This is from most of it from core Preside. Yeah, you don't need to do anything with it, but there are some specific additional things you can customize in order to make the most out of it, to completely integrate with your application's data. And that's, yeah. Where are we here?
Can I request
yes.
that we see that working on the rules engine condition? I think it's a really useful example.
Yes, sure.
I mean, I know it's showing for these things.
Back to listing.
So if you go into from the rules engine, because I think that most users, like, it's quite technical to come in at this point, but if they were in the rules engine, well, can I delete this? How would they go about?
Here, yeah, okay.
Go into the record itself.
Yes, so like in that Firefox browser is the rules engine condition. It is used in the conditional content alternative. Here you can navigate back and forth. This is, and if you get back here, view the record, it gets you to the actual the actual rules engine condition. If we now would do something like Firefox, where is it, like delete this, confirm. So
Yeah,
okay, that is, yeah, sure. Yes, because it's a foreign key. Whereas if you would, like, in your let me pull up a sample test, and we use a conditional content here and saying like we have, it's the weekend, publish that. So what it internally does, because I configured it to be like working on like actual changes, not only doing full scanning, which you can configure in the system settings, it now came up with it just created the record, but it didn't scan the, where is it? But it didn't create. Okay, yeah, it has a like a temporary record was just created, as far as I can see, but it hasn't actually done anything with it. So now if we run the task manager task that should run every 5 minutes, change records, it will just find that specific one page, that's it, and now it's in the dependency tracker. We have that test page, it uses that rules engine condition in the main content. And if we now go ahead in the rules engine condition, and what was it? Weekend. It's probably used somewhere else, but let's see. Yeah, force delete of 4 records. Okay, go ahead. And run the 5-minute task again. Because we don't want to do it like synchronized inline, it might do some crazy shit. So we just mark the record that it needs scanning. And if we now go here and say, let me see for the broken dependencies, yes, it's the test page, which basically says we have that rules engine condition filter still in here, but that's orphaned. It doesn't exist anymore. Therefore, like the dependency is broken. And therefore, you don't get a link to the record anymore when it's orphaned.
When you say we mark the record as needs to be checked,
Mm-hmm.
there is a field in the database for the object.
No, I mean it actually creates. Let me like where is it? Queued for scanning. So save for later needs scanning. So we create like the object, but we don't scan it and fill it up and create the dependencies on it and so on. And so basically like that 5-minute task that runs frequently just checks the content records which are like required to be scanned. So that way, and then like there's an interceptor on Preside, select data, insert data, update data that just marks these then as queued for scanning.
In this scenario, you would always get critical system alerts in the backend automatically with the new version.
No, but I mean, in theory, you could hook in the system alert system, and this is completely independent of the system alerts. But yeah.
No longer exists.
Yeah, but that's something different. Like within your rules engine, you rely on a specific within your rules engine condition. You might have like used an expression based on a field that physically doesn't exist in the database anymore. That is like kind of like a different case. Like the rules engine condition itself is broken, whereas here there's a rules engine condition that has been deleted, but it's used, like the record is used in another place. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to create one for every record because otherwise they get ignored.
But I mean, specifically, this one here is interesting, which is also, it was like skipped to be like don't send empty records. Previously, it was like there was no matching record. You get an email anyway all the time, but not what you now could theoretically do. Say like every 10 minutes, send me something, as long as there is like a match. If you want to be informed instantly or as instant as possible about anything, you could like basically kind of, is it a misuse of the export system, but it's like it's an actual notification about specific data. Yeah. So that would be like broken dependencies. Show me the recent broken dependencies. Yeah.
I think as well, we might need to look at, I think eventually this is another example of extension driven that eventually makes it into core after some iteration.
Yeah.
I think the word orphan, I had missed this actually, because I thought it was my notion of an orphan. I think an orphan is a record that has nobody else referencing it. But what we're calling an orphan here is actually a missing record. Like you're listing it as a record, but actually it doesn't exist.
You track
Yes.
the dependency, and now.
Yeah, but I'm like happy to, yes, happy to.
Language should be missing in that case. I
Yeah.
think,
It's a dead kid.
Yes.
Parentless.
Yeah, fine. Yeah, definitely. And so it's currently it hasn't been like it's considered alpha status. So we are having it in our like ready membership test bed, testing it. But like, yeah, feel free to use it and report feedback, pull requests, welcome as usual. Any further questions before we head to lunch? Yeah, so for like for the references, I also like the sample project is available for anyone to play around with what has been done there.
Check out Forge Box for lots.
Yes, definitely.
Or we do a pull request for the